Hey, scrappers and recyclers, as promised, I tried using the pressure washer on the electronic scrap that I picked up that had been buried in the mud for a while. And I actually liked it better than the hose with just the spray nozzle on it. I had to be a little more careful, as you'll see in the video that's going to come up here, but it did the job much quicker, almost twice as fast as using the garden hose. So I assume we used less water, and I think we got a little bit cleaner. But hey, let's dive in and find out. Here's the last of the servers and a couple of PCs that were underneath the mud. Let's see what the pressure washer can do to them this time. A wide spray, and I'm going to keep some distance here. Let's let it, gotta let the water get through. There we go. Blowing the air out of the hose right now. Hey, I think that actually is working better than the hose. We got spray going all over the place, but as long as I stand back, that's not that big a deal. And I think we can get in here and get these cleaned up faster. All right, we're going to pressure wash the rest of them. These are the servers that I pressure washed. There's a couple of PC towers that were pressure washed as well, but for the most part, this was what we were really getting after here, the switch and the pressure washer. So we're going to look at one of these blade servers compared to, the one that I did with the hose. We have a switch here that I did with the pressure washer, very similar to the way I did it with the hose. So we'll take a look and see how well the pressure washer cleaned it versus what the hose did. We're going to start out with the switch. Remember, the approach that I took with the switches was that I stuck the hose here and let the mud flush through it. I did the same thing with the pressure washer. So let's see how we did. This switch is a little more complicated than the last one we did. Got a few extra screws here. That's all right. We'll get that taken care of. I'm hoping that the concept is still the same, that we have the board and a power supply, so all of the mud would have just flowed right through to the other side. That one, that screw could be a problem because it's bent and it doesn't want to turn. Let's see here. All right, so there's one of our power supply fans. It's a fan. It might just be a fan unit. This one has got the bent screw. All right, so that's the power supply. That's pretty gnarly looking. Let's get the cover off. There we go. All right. Well, it's not great because the water coming in, and I squirted the water in from both sides, but as you can see, most of the flow would have been right through here to clean out the mud, which means that there was still a lot of residual mud that got left behind. So this would have been one of the ones that would have been better for me to open, but as you can see, there was a lot of screws and they were different sizes, so a level of annoyance there that had to be dealt with. We'll bust those ferrous screws off of these aluminum heat sinks. And these heat sinks are not screwed down. They just have these nylon posts with springs. So they clean up real easy, like that. But the legs on the circuit, on the chips, are so messed up that they appear like the chips are coming up here no matter what I do. Yeah, see, the chip came up with that one. And that one. Let's see if we can twist it off. And that helped with that one. The chip was left behind with that one, so yeah, that's unfortunate. But still, there's only 2 chips, and we've got a lot of other chips here, so let's finish cleaning this up here. So this daughter card has a little bit of copper sheeting there. I think that's copper for grounding, I think, from where the whatever it was that got put in there. So anyway, that's just, I'm going to get this cleaned up and see what we're dealing with in here. but it looks like this is just going to be a low-grade board. But if this is aluminum, I might pull that, and we'll see what this copper is, if that's a copper, heavy copper tape that I can peel off. And then we have some MLCCs here that, in this case, might be worth removing simply because this board is pretty low grade. Looking for screws that hide in mud. Right. Get these guys out of here. Let's check those, see if they're brass. Nope, they're not. Let's see here now. We have these screws have to come out because they're going into these connectors. This could be a problem. Yeah. All right. Nasty. So there's our board. We really ought to clean this up a little bit. You can see that some of the components have come a bit loose. I'm not sure if that was, I didn't notice if that was from the washing or from me. But this is a really neat board to talk about. If you are someone who has no choice but to depopulate, sometimes where people are located, they just have no choice, or it's what they're into. There's some really nice stuff. Look at all these little tantalums. Lots of yellow tantalums all over this board. And those are the kind that Board Sort buys, these boxy tantalums. So that's really cool. You've got some good chips scattered throughout here for gold recovery, if you're into that. Let's see, there's going to be copper in these. Not a lot, but there will be some copper in those. Some oscillators. Again, I don't mess with the oscillators. If you really want to see what a pain in the butt it can be to get the silver out of those, check out 999 Doosan. He did a really interesting video a while back, a year or two ago, on going after the silver and how problematic that is. So we have it's a Telcom board, probably Telcom low now because of all the chips that busted off when I was taking off the heat sinks here. So yeah, I would be comfortable throwing this in with Telcom low. Now this power supply, I don't know, let's take a look here. Let's see. If I can open it up pretty quick, we'll take a look inside. It turns out that the yard that I do most of my business with here only pays shred price for these. So that's very unfortunate. Ah, rats. Strip that one out. All right, I don't have a lot of hope for getting this one open to look inside of it, which is fine. It's not a big deal. It's a power supply. All right, so with power supplies, and this I'm going to have to do some math on what I want to do because my yard is only paying shred, although there's another yard that I need to go talk to see if they're doing anything different. So there may be some argument for me to spend some time doing a little more scrap work on these, because you've got these copper toroids where you can get the copper. That would go as a small motor, and you have aluminum heat sinks here. Yeah, I need to, I'm going to need to do some thinking on that one and figure out which way I want to go with that, because right now there just isn't a whole lot of value in here unless I spend the time for, further scrapping this. And that's just a fan module, so that's just going to go in with shred because my yard only pays shred for these. When we look at this blade server, we see it appears to be much cleaner than the server that we did that I washed off with the garden hose and nozzle. This was pressure washed, so it seems like it's cleaner, but let's take it apart and find out if it really is that much cleaner. We get these boards out now. So we've got gold fingers here, and we have to take off the lineup brackets and this plastic. And what I may just do is take off these gold fingers and put this in with low grade, because there really isn't much on this board. We'll see what we're going to do there. But I think that's my plan. We have another one of those socket kind of boards over here. You can see we've got gold fingers on this side. Over here we have tin silver fingers. Here's the slots for where the cards would have gone on. So again, I'm thinking I'm just going to take the gold fingers and then throw this in with low grade. By the way, these are probably aluminum. They don't respond to the magnet, so all right, get this wire out of the way. We have another one of these. Now let's get that card out first. So let's get the wire done. Go. Get you out of the way. We have another kind of backplane board here. The hard drives would have been right there. That's where the hard drives would have slotted in. So a little backplane board. And let's see here. You cut there. And we get the wire out of here. Let's get this board out. So gold finger card, let's get that heatsink off of there. Probably need to give it another bath before we send it off to board sort. But yeah, that's a real nice gold finger card. We'll give it a rinse off here in a minute. I got a few of them in there that need some rinse off. Oops. All right, so we have underneath of this just the CD-ROM. That's just some shred there. CD-ROM, some ribbon cable. I'm not even going to mess with it. We can see we didn't get the mud out from that. All right, these fans, now my yard is only taking these as shred, so that's just going to go in the shred for me. We did a pretty good job of getting the mud out of them. Your yard might take these as small motors. my yard in Jacksonville did. That was always cool. All right, get these heat sinks off. There's some nice chips hiding underneath of these heat sinks. You see me just trimming off the metal prongs. You need to know what your yard requires. I don't have to dig out the metal that's buried all the way inside there. And let's get this board freed up. It's got some thumb brackets here to open it, and then it just pops right off. Gold finger card. Let's get the wire, this ribbon wire off of here. Probably need to give this one another bath. All right, now we are at the point where we're going to start getting screws out of here. There's a combination of hex screws and then these line-up points. This is where the thing's slotted down on top of those. Those need to come out as well. So first thing is screws. If you've done servers before like this, you know that this board is on a metal plate. I'm going to try to just get the board up without messing with the metal plate, but you never know which way that one's going to play out when you go to extract. Sometimes you'll get going, you'll have all the screws out and the pins out, and you'll be like, it won't come out because you still have to take out these heatsink prongs on each corner of the socket. There's a couple ways that you might be able to do it. Here, let me show you with this one when I get the plastic off of it. So you might be able to get a wrench over it, pliers or something, and then twist the base so that it'll turn. Sometimes you can't get down enough to get hold of that, in which case you have to grab hold of the pin itself and give it a turn, and then you can unscrew it. There is a very thin piece of bracket at the bottom that you might be able to use a socket for it. I find that it's just as easy to just grab hold of it and give it a twist. Sometimes they can be uncooperative. Fortunately, these haven't rusted up too bad, despite all of the mistreatment they've had. That one is not cooperating, so we'll see if we have to come back to that one with a little more oomphy. And there's a pin right there, so you just break this switch out of the way, and then you can get at the pin that's hiding down here. That's going to be one of those ones that tends to frustrate people that are new to the servers. It hides from you. It even tried to hide from me just then. All right, now we still have this one that was not cooperating. Let's see if we can convince it to turn here. Here we go. All right, now I think that's all the pins. This little tab here can be a little bit problematic. I have found that if I just take some pliers and crimp that down, then I can pretty much keep it out of the way. All right, now the other thing that you need to do is there's two VGA sockets on this style board, and they are held in with thumb screws. So you want to get those thumb screws out. I have one of my Kaiweets loaded with a socket. And these thumb screws are holding the board onto the metal plate. So I'm hoping that by removing these, I don't have to pull out the metal plate as well. By the way, if you're interested in this new Kaiweets tool, ES21, I think this is what this one is. I did a video about this. I'll put a link up there for you so you can check that one out. And there's a link down below. I'm an affiliate, and so if you want to buy one, use the affiliate link, and there's a discount code that I think is still valid. And I appreciate it because I get a little bit of change from that. All right, we're bent here, so let's get this bent out of the way. Normally that would have just slid right out, but this side was bent in. So there we go. There's our board. Multi-socket metal server motherboard. Still got a bit of mud here. This was underneath a daughter card. The bottom is probably still, yeah, the bottom needs a little bit more cleaning. So I may clean this up a bit more before I send this off to boardsort.com. But there's some good money there. I'm not going to worry about the CD-ROM. It's just not worth it, especially when it's in this shape, because my yard's just going to buy it as shred. So let's go ahead and cut the wire off of there. So the rest of this now is just shred. The power supplies would have been in here. I already took those out. The hard drives would have been here. It didn't have any hard drives in it, so now this is just shred. These slot boards, those are going to be T8s, excuse me. And I have, who do I have loaded up with a T8? I have this one loaded up with a T8. This is the older Kaiweets electric screwdriver. It works good on these little screws. Sometimes it's a problem with these. That's aluminum, and then that's a ferrous screw, and so they can get really jammed in there. So sometimes I have some trouble with them, and I have to use a handheld. Ugh. Like this. This one is, that screw is being uncooperative. So with this I can get a little better control. It still doesn't want to do anything. We may have to just break this one. Let's see if we can get it to turn a little bit. There we go. And now we're able to get it to come out. All right. So now we can throw these in with our aluminum. And we have a gold finger card and some plastic trash, and we'll just go ahead and finish cleaning up the rest of these. Oh, on this larger one here, those are copper, by the way. So just some copper grounding straps there. Get those off of that. And we're back to the T8 on this side of it. So again, with this one, this is just a lot of junk on here. So, and there really isn't much in the way of actual components. So I'm just leaning towards cutting off the gold fingers. So here, let me show you. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see that there's just not much there. and I hate to throw that in, I just don't feel justified throwing it in with gold finger cards because there's no components, it's just the gold fingers. So we'll pop that off. This is one of those rare times when I will take off the gold fingers, just because I don't feel right selling this board, the board sword, as a gold finger card. So now I've got the gold fingers, which I can sell the board sword and a low. I believe that the pressure washer was the better tool to use for washing these servers and PC towers when compared to a standard hose spray nozzle. The process took about half as long, and I probably used less water. Did it get them any cleaner? I don't know. I don't think so, really. Because of the flushing so much volume of water with the hose nozzle, that may have actually gotten them cleaner than with the pressure washer, because as you can see, there was still a lot of mud underneath of the boards and stuff. So, it went much faster and we used less water. So that's a good thing. Right, now I have got some work to do getting these servers and towers scrapped out so that I can get the boards a little cleaner still before I sell them to Board Sword. I hope you enjoyed this series on hurricane recovery, PCs, and server cleanouts. If you missed any of it, there's links popping up to take you to some of the earlier videos in this series. And I'll see you all on the next one.